Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a new foodie book tag. The newest foodie book tag to join the family is going to be the Apple book tag. I'm pretty much getting into a little bit of a trend of healthy options when it comes to foodie book tags. But there's no worries, there will be so many foodie book tags in store for all kinds of food. So there's no need to worry that the foodie book tags have gone strictly vegan. But the Apple book tag, I must say, was quite a challenge to put together because I wasn't too familiar with the different kinds of apples. I did learn a lot about apples, though, as I was putting this together. And a lot of them have to do with the backgrounds of the apples, the questions that I put together, because a lot of apples are they're not similar in the way they're executed, but they are sweet, tart, ripe. I wanted to do something a bit more creative so that the questions would be able to stick out onto themselves. So, let's begin. The first one is Granny Smith, named for its founder, who was nicknamed Granny Smith. She was a planter that spread the apple seeds in her area, similar to how John Chapman, aka Johnny Appleseed, did so. But the question I came up with is an overbearingly sweet work or character. And while I don't know, this is overbearing in a good way. And I chose Pause and Effect by Sharon Saxon. And Pause and Effect, The Healing Power of Dogs, has to do with different stories in this collection about the very deep impact that dogs have had on humans in so many ways, whether it be physical, emotional, or an act of heroism or kindness that they have engaged. And this is just, it's very hard to not love this book. Next one is Fuji, a work about a mountain. And the one that I chose is The Snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway, which can be found in this short story collection. And the story itself really gives you that gritty feeling of one man's great change that affected him while he was at Mount Kilimanjaro, and how it not only caused him to not only did he see injury, but it really led him to question his strength and come to so many realizations in his life. Next one is Red Delicious, a book that would be perfect if it was only judged by its cover. This may be a little bit subjective, the way that I'm wording this question, because in my mind, for some reason, the Red Delicious apple is the most beautiful of the apples in its appearance, but I've tried it on several occasions, and to me it doesn't have that oomph factor with its sweetness or flavor the way that other apples have. But the book that I chose for this is Cat Magic by Whitley Strieber, which has a beautiful cover that I'll leave a link to down below. It is the night sky on an ordinary town with a silhouette of a cat with its teeth sticking out, the way that the Cheshire cat would look if it suddenly became rabid and evil. But to me, the story itself, Cat Magic, was so bad, I don't even have the book to show you. And that's saying something. Next one is Golden Yellow, a book with yellow on the cover. As far as what I've read, this copy of The Shining by Stephen King is as yellow as they come when it comes to the yellow sky and the yellow taint that Danny Torrance has on the cover. He blends right into the... He's blending into the horror that is taking place in The Shining right behind him. But Danny himself, this isn't a look of evil, but it is him exercising that power that The Shining has. And as far as just solid yellow goes, haven't really gotten into this yet, but this prose by Elizabeth Bishop, this is just solid yellow. This sticks out completely when it comes to yellow books, and I like her poems also has just the title, her name, and then just endlessly remarkable works inside. Next one is Macintosh, a writer that has influenced or would influence your writing. And the reason I structured this question this way is because the Macintosh Apple has been the parent of plenty of offspring. There have been plenty of apples that have been bred with the driving force of the Macintosh. But I feel that the writers that have the most influence on my writing, despite the fact that I like to... When I say influence, I mean... I don't mean that my writing is copycat of theirs, because I don't believe in that. I want my writing to be unique. But I feel that Richard Matheson and Ray Bradbury are perfect influences as far as speculative writing without the confirmation of any given genre. And they can even dip into literary fiction as they wish. The next one is Honeycrisp, which is my mom's favorite apple. A book you have read that is in great demand. And Honeycrisp apples are usually expensive, but they always go out pretty quickly. They possess that kind of popularity. But at this point in time, that would be 1984 by George Orwell. I'm pretty sure that this goes out pretty quickly at the library. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are getting their hands on this because of the speculation that they're having about the authorities and government in general. And we're going to be going over this in March on our channel. Next one is Baldwin Apple, a writer you feel needs recognition due to stunted acclaim, which means that they had a great potential, but something caused them to fade from the eyes of readers. This also can be interpreted in the way that the writer died prematurely or something stopped them from writing more. And for me, I think this author falls under both. There's so many people that I can choose, but in this case I'm going to be choosing Richard Lehman just because I just finished reading The Woods Are Dark. But The Woods Are Dark was his second book. His first one was The Cellar. And he published The Woods Are Dark with Warner Publishing, and they required that he cut out so much, and it defaced the work, it made it look poorly edited, and it turned out being such a flop that he lost the momentum in the United States. It would require him to... He would pick up a greater acclaim in Europe, specifically the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and then toward the end of his life, he regained the recognition he deserved in America, and a lot of it had to do with the great praise from writers such as Stephen King, Dean Koontz, and Bentley Little. But unfortunately, he died in 2001 at the age of 54, and he had a nice collection going on, and I think he could have had so much more if he was still alive, because he would have been 70 this year, and I'm 100% sure that he would still be writing. Next one is the Empire Apple, a work about or set in New York, and Gotta Choose Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes, which is set in New York and inspired by Keyes' teaching while he was in New York. Charlie's from New York City, and just about the entire story is set in the area, with the exception of when he goes to the convention with Dr. Strauss and Professor Newmar. But this is just a great gem that can be the answer to so many of life's questions. Next one is the Gala Apple, a work that fits under many genres. And Flowers for Algernon is a perfect one because of the examples, the debate between whether or not it's science fiction or horror, or my argument of literary fiction. But I'm going to choose something different, and I'm going to choose Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which is probably seen most as a work of science fiction. But some can see it as horror, some can see it as dystopian, some can see it under the genre of books about books. I would even argue that after being released 64 years ago, and the way that it has cemented itself into curriculums, this could very well be a work of literary fiction as well. Which, I feel that literary fiction is... I could see where the line is between literary fiction and popular fiction, but I feel that this is just a great work of literature, and it doesn't really matter what genre it falls under. It's just effective, and since it's original, I would say that it is literary, but it can be classified in so many ways, but the fact that it's good is what matters most. Next one's the Ambrosia Apple, which is a long work that was easy to follow. And for that one, I chose Bag of Bones by Stephen King. I read this during my sophomore year of high school. This was during my beginnings of reading adult fiction, and this was really attention-grabbing, and I had just about no difficulty following along with it. It was that effective. Next one is the Jazz Apple, which, since it's revolutionary among apples, from what I had read, the question for this one is a work written in or after 2010 that demonstrates freshness and originality. And for that one, I chose the Simplica Girl Diaries from the 10th of December collection by George Saunders, which George Saunders is pretty unique, postmodern, and outside of the box when it comes to his writing. And the idea of this poking at materialism and how shallow people can be, while the idea in itself has been looked upon before, this idea itself can be viewed in such a weird but eccentrically brilliant light. And for question 12, the Mizzou Apple. A big book that you indulged, which the Mizzou Apple is large in size, but can be consumed and indulged at a really quick rate. And for that, well, I didn't get through it quickly, but I definitely indulged it to a great extent, and that is Thomas Jefferson, The Art of Power by John Meacham. This isn't a chunker the way that it is, and I'm referring to the Stephen King book, but this is quite bulky, and while it only has a little bit over 500 pages of biography, there is over 200 more pages of acknowledgments, sources, and the index. But this in itself, just look at it. This is quite a big book, and I can guarantee you that if you are an enthusiast for American history, you're going to indulge this. Next one is What's Your Favorite Apple? And I don't eat apples. I feel that I need to eat more of them. The most recent occasions where I had an apple, it caused my throat to get scratchy. So I don't know if that is an allergy. I know that that's the way I am with carrots. But I would be willing to try some of the sweet and juicy apples, which it's a very bland description, but it's the way things go. I'd be willing to explore again. And the last one is Apple Tree. Who do you tag? And I'm going to tag 12 people because it's been a while since I've done a foodie book tag. The melon book tag was the last one I did. I'm going to tag JD from JD Estrada, Alyssa from Sushi Dragon Master, Steve from Steve Donahue, Sue and Megan from the Restricted Section, Claire from Claire Reads Books, Luna from All Things Fandom 7, Kat from Kat's Bookend, Allie from the Hardback Hoarder, Rachel from the Reading Otter 7, Rebecca and Sarah from Tea Hags, Peter from Peter Clark the Writer, and Becca from My Dreams of Reading. I can tell you right now that you're not going to have to wait too long for the next foodie book tag. I have the pumpkin book tag being constructed, and I'm pretty sure that millennial girls are going to go crazy because there is going to be mention of pumpkin spice. Thank you for tuning into this foodie book tag. I hope you check out more videos on our channel, and for now, keep reading.